top Chinese officials, a military band, and young people waving flags. Trade is expected to be a major focus of this meeting. And in a social media post before his arrival, the president said he will ask President Xi to, quote, open up China to American companies.
NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez is in Beijing for us. Gabe, what is on the agenda for the first day of this summit in China?
Well, Kate, we're expecting a big day of pomp and pageantry, something that President Trump naturally relishes. And later on today, just in a few hours, as you said, will be the official welcoming ceremony for President Trump here in Beijing. He'll be at the Great Hall of the People, and then he'll go for a bilateral meeting with President Xi. He'll go to the Temple of Heaven later on today before returning to the Great Hall for that state banquet later on tonight. Now, tomorrow, he also has a meeting with President Xi, a bilateral meeting, as well as a working lunch. And really, Kate and Zing Clay, the president saying that he wants to open up China to American businesses. But there are so many topics looming on the agenda here for this summit, including the war in Iran, but also everything from trade and tariffs to AI to Taiwan as well. So a lot to be watching, but later on today, we expect a whole lot of pomp and pageantry here in Beijing for President Trump's first visit here since 2017.
And Gabe, we're also watching the several CEOs of major companies who are traveling with the president. What more do we know about what they're doing there, their meetings?
Certainly. Well, a person familiar with the matter says that NVIDIA CEO got a last-minute phone call from President Trump asking him to be on board for this trip, and he actually met Air Force One during a refueling stop in Alaska before making his way here. NVIDIA, of course, the manufacturer of the advanced computer chips, which there have been exports on restrictions of exporting those chips to China. So certainly the Trump administration wants to tout any sort of business success here in Beijing, potentially projecting this image of stability, which is something we've been hearing from senior administration officials. But many high-powered CEOs here, the CEO of Apple as well as Boeing. So expect to hear that Trump administration officials have been working to potentially announce some sort of investment deal here while on the ground in Beijing. But again, the war in Iran, a lot of questions looming about that, and whether President Trump makes any sort of either public or private speaking in public or private, speaking to President Xi, urging him to get involved and perhaps to get Iran to come to the negotiating table and help end the war in Iran.
All right, watching all of that, Gabe Gutierrez, thank you so much. A quick programming note, Tom Yamas is anchoring special editions of NBC Nightly News and Top Story from Beijing. That airs tonight on your local NBC station and NBC News Now.
Well, the World Cup kicks off next month with 48 teams slated to play in 16 cities across the United States, Mexico, and Canada.
11 cities are hosting 78 matches here in the U.S., and NBC News has learned exclusively that the Department of Homeland Security is offering to send ICE officers and agents in to help local police departments with extra security. NBC News senior Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley joins us now from Washington. Julia, this is your reporting. Tell us more about this offer from ICE and what exactly would its personnel be doing?
Well, we've known for some time that DHS will be involved in some kind of security measure at World Cup matches that are in the United States. As you know, others are in Canada and Mexico. But now we're learning specifically that ICE, including the very officers who are in charge of arresting and making deportations, are offering their services to local police departments and federal agencies that may want to use them to go around perimeters of matches, even go inside if needed, to do security checks. But they're being very explicit that those security checks will not include immigration status checks. This isn't as though people who are coming in to watch these matches are going to have to prove their immigration status. But in a statement, DHS did say that the only people who should have to worry are people who are not in the country legally, and that spectators who want to legally come to these games need to go ahead and get their paperwork done well enough ahead of time so that they don't have anything to worry about. They also have not sent out internal guidance, I've learned from two officials, to tell ICE officers who are doing arrests in these areas to avoid the stadiums that might have World Cup matches, or whether or not they should actually target those places for arrest. So just because these people doing security won't be doing immigration vetting, that doesn't mean there would be absolutely no immigration arrest inside these matches.
And Julia, we're showing